always recommend running an up-to-date version of Google Chrome when using Blackboard and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra.
Welcome back for season 2. Rob Boulay here. I'm joined by Chris Bird.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
And we have our special guest to open up season 2. We have Pat Maher, our Dean of Teaching.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Nice. So today we're going to talk with Pat about a few topics. Chris is going to get us started, and we're really excited.
Following on that excitement, I'm just one of the first things we wanted to talk about, Pat, was in our first season we spoke with you and we were planning for the future. And what I wanted to ask is, did you have anything exciting that happened, or have you been hearing anything exciting from faculty in regards to their move from an on-site to an online environment, and things they've been able to accomplish, or adjustments they've been able to make in order to facilitate that move?
Yeah, well, I think some of what I've seen so far has kept along the same lines that we did talk about last season, which was just like, being flexible, right? As an educator, you've got students in a wide variety of different contexts, and you need to keep it simple, right? So those kind of themes are important. But one of the things that I think really came out of the fall was just people getting a lot more comfortable with the software, a lot more comfortable with the e-learning sphere, right? Trying things out, seeing what works and what doesn't, trying to get more comfortable with the actual technology, whether that's Blackboard or any other technology, and then once you're comfortable, you can experiment. You can determine whether less office hours or more office hours, shorter office hours, longer office hours, releasing multiple modules course versus only one module at a time. So part of the experimentation comes once somebody's comfortable, and I feel like we've got a lot more faculty who are at least a little bit comfortable in the online learning environment.
Yeah, I could give you at least a dozen examples, if not more, of questions that we've yielded, and I'm sure Rob can attest to this as well, where we're dealing with someone who hasn't necessarily had much experience teaching online, and so they come to us with questions that they feel are very basic and they should know. But that's just not the case. They can't know everything about the online learning environment. But what I really noticed about these types of conversations is the tone of their voice from the beginning, where they're anxious, they're hesitant about what they're trying to do. And then at the end of the conversation, once we've walked them through it a little bit or given them maybe different examples of how they can go about achieving the same goal, the sense of relief in their voice as to, if this is this easy and I only really have to set this up once, they know that moving forward they'll be able to manage these types of issues or these types of settings in the Blackboard world much more easily moving forward. So it's there's certainly a sense of achievement in that for us when we're dealing with these people and helping them through it, which is quite nice. Everyone's very anxious about what's going on, but when we can get that sense of relief, I guess, is for lack of better words, it's certainly a good feeling for both sides.
That's how I would categorize it, that sense of relief, because I feel like when the pandemic started, when we just had to make the decision in less than a week of we're going all online, there was a real sense of like, butting heads, I don't want to do this. And now I feel like there's this has come and I've learned some things and I'm pretty comfortable with it now. Not to say that I'm going to keep all that if we ever go back to the old normal, but there's a sense of I no longer have that anxiety. I feel like there's a support structure there to help me. I feel like I've got my answers, and I feel like I'm just more comfortable here. And now when I come with a question, the tone is no longer, I want to fight with you, but the tone is, I have a genuine interest in making my teaching better. Can you help me do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, for sure. But we're hearing a lot of folks too that are considering keeping, even when we go back to a blended model or whatever, the winter or beyond offers, but like their office hours, keeping their office hours as a virtual thing, so that students don't have to actually come to campus regardless, because they're having such great success in those sessions.
Yeah, I would really say, like, if I was looking ahead to the winter at all, that the how office hours are contextualized in the course, in the manner of a course, will change, right? I think people are more comfortable using them, using the synchronous tools that we have with Blackboard Collaborate, and things like that. That's one area where things have shifted, and I feel like the discussion boards and the way that small group discussions can happen and do happen will probably be something else that's kept if and when we get back to face-to-face teaching.
Yeah, when they get together in those groups in an online environment, those conversations or threads, forums are kept there. So it's also a valuable tool because students are able to reference those conversations throughout the semester. It's not just something they have to commit to memory because it happened one time in one class. So definitely a great use for that tool for sure.
Yeah.
I guess that sort of leads us into our next topic we wanted to discuss with you today, and I think that revolves around some of the things that we're going to be chatting about in this upcoming season of training talks, and we're looking towards the future. Let's put it that way. We're going to be talking about things like augmented reality, different pedagogies and learning, and some stumbling blocks along those ways, as well as experiential learning and how that can experiential learning coupled with augmented reality and things like that. We just wanted to touch base with you on that and see where your thoughts are in that type of topic as well.
Well, I think that all really leads to how I and maybe the Teaching Hub overall have conceptualized where we're at, right, in this pandemic and otherwise. And that's always the sense that we just need to make things one step better, right? Every semester, we just have to do a bit better than we did the last. So we don't even know what to call the end of winter 2020 because it was like turnaround remote emergency teaching. But as long as we can sort of add more tools or techniques or manners in which we can have some synchronous learning, as long as we can add more and more of those as we go, I think we're doing well. Because my sense is that the connectivity to instructors, but also peer-to-peer, is what a lot of students are missing. They're feeling that sense of isolation, and it's difficult on a time management perspective. Just, on so many different fronts, it's difficult to lack that community that they're used to in the face-to-face university setting. So anywhere where we can start to combat that, if it's more synchronous sessions, if it's new technology like VR and AR, if it's simply, we've come up with a structure that lets students connect with one another separate to the courses, like whatever we can do to take away that sense of isolation and that sense of anxiety for, I'm here studying all alone. Like, I feel like we've lessened the anxiety on an instructor level with all of the supports and workshops and faculty members getting their feet wet. And for us, maybe next is, how do we translate some of that to the student sphere?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think these are all things that, like you said, each semester we try and build on our successes, and not just successes, but things that we can improve on as well. So I think as we aim for the future, these are all things that are going to be more and more prevalent. So I think it's good that we're starting these discussions now, and at least planning ahead. While we may not have access to certain tools, at least we're planning on how we could incorporate them into our existing environment, how they're going to benefit not only the faculty but also our students as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really what we've seen, at least from my perspective, with COVID-19, right, is that it has been a bit of a catalyst. It's been let's open the crack and see that piece that we were missing. Okay, how can we fix that? And how short term, but how can we fix it long term, right? And so one of those is as has happened in the Teaching Hub, the consolidation of all the learning systems technologists, the hiring of a manager of e-learning, coming down the pipeline. We've got these online learning partners that will be peer-to-peer student supports. And then how do we look out in the future? So there's a staffing piece as well as a technology piece.
Yeah, it's really great to see all the changes that are coming down the line, and like there's a lot coming for the winter. There's a great deal of supports coming, and new technologies and processes and everything to make things smoother. And I think that like you said, it is the right step. Like each semester we try and just raise that bar just one level at a time, not too far, but still raising that bar. And I think that's definitely the right way for all of us. I think it keeps us all excited about the future, shall we say?
Yeah.
So I think that's a decent leadway into winter planning. Like Chris says, it kind of feels early to be talking about winter, and I mean we're coming up on reading week, but in our world, like that is when we start planning and start helping faculty plan for the winter. Reading week is that time period. So are there any kind of tips from the fall or from the past that you really think we should encourage faculty?
Well, I think it's just about number one, and this is the same message that I would always give, is getting on board early, right? I think we now have some faculty members who understand what they can do with Blackboard, and they're kind of like, for fall, they might have turned on their brain to fall in August. So now, like, let's start thinking in October about January, and they see a value to doing that. And they see, I did try all these things in my fall courses, and now my starting point is where those fall courses were. And I'm going to take it even better from there. Not, I barely got my act together and sorted out the fall, and I'm okay if I barely get my act together for the winter. But I think even faculty are now genuinely thinking, you know what? I can one up my own game, and that's helping Nipissing University one up its game.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, not just for individual courses, but and this is something actually. It's funny you said that, Pat. Is that's something that was mentioned in part one of our discussion from last season, was that sometimes we need to think of the bigger picture, not only just your one individual course, but how can we as an institution become better overall. And that is collaboration, and that's working together. That includes faculty working with their LSTs, working with the Teaching Hub, and all the resources that we are now seeing available to us. And I think that's something that it takes a bit of time for people to understand that those supports are there, but also how to best utilize them, how to utilize the video series that we have online, so that if you have any questions following that, who to contact. You can contact the LST for follow-up questions, and it's a snowball effect. I feel like that people are we're hoping that people are starting to grasp and understand that we are there for them and so on. So.
Yeah, and I think what we're also doing is also putting out just that sort of multimodal approach, right? We're saying, you can do your standard, go to a drop-in session with an LST, or email an LST and have your conversation there. But we've got this whole slate of workshops and trainings that you've seen since June, and those are going to continue. And if that's how you get it, great. If you want videos, we can give you a whole host of Blackboard specific videos or lockdown browser videos. You can see these training talk videos. But if you want that personal connection, we've also just started this community of practice, which lets instructors on a peer-to-peer level talk about challenges or successes. And we've got this professional learning community, which is basically a book club that's going to start, right? So there's so many ways to get the info that you shouldn't be afraid. And if one of those 7 ways I've already talked about doesn't match with how you want to get it, then just tell us, and maybe we'll start an 8th, 9th, or 10th way that you could get your fix.
Yeah, I think that's really great too, because it really exemplifies how there's different ways to learn online. It's not just all about that synchronous or asynchronous model. It's a mix or blended, and it's highly successful, I think, for all of the faculty at Nipissing. I know. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions we really had for you today, Pat. We wanted to follow up on our conversation last season, as well as look at, like I said, look ahead to the future. Reading Week is coming up very quickly. I believe by the time this video becomes available, it'll likely be Reading Week or very close. It's part of the reason we're trying to get these conversations out there is for that very reason, is to start these conversations early, contact the people you need to contact, and get the supports that you need, because the more planning we can do now, the better off we're going to be come January, when everyone's refreshed after a nice break, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully by that time we're able to spend some time with family and friends, and and really jump into the winter semester, ideally a step ahead.
We always recommend running an up-to-date version of Google Chrome when using Blackboard and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra.